Good practice yesterday. First two-a-day was yesterday. The two-a-days are not like they used to be anywhere in the country, but had an hour-and-a-half practice in the morning with helmets, and then went out yesterday afternoon, and for the first time in a long time, I don't think it's ever happened here, we utilized all three of our fields because of the weather, and didn't affect our guys at all. We started outside and was up there for about an hour, and then it rained like a lot, so we went inside, and then when it cleared up we finished outside because we can't do live team drills on the inside. So and it didn't phase our guys at all, which was proud of them being able to adjust and overcome that. So so got a lot done. So I'll take some questions if we can hear, because of the weight room activity down there. You can see how this poses a problem we try to meet in here, right?
First full contact, I mean, how'd they feel with pads? How'd they look, just sort of getting back into the real aspect of football?
Yeah, it was good. I think we've had 2 full days of pads. We did the Oklahoma drill, which has been tradition around here and a lot of other places, which was exciting to see those guys get it all cranked up. It's a good way to start when we do put the pants on, it's a good way to start it. So for the last 2 days we've been full pads. It's been good. There's a lot we can do when you're just in shells. I mean, you're not gonna do it a whole lot different. We haven't tackled yet, so the drills have all looked the same the last 2 days than they did the 2 previous days with just the shoulder pads on. So we will start today. We'll do a little bit of tackling today. Today will be the first day that we put them in a situational type of not scrimmage, but just more situational stuff. We'll start introducing some third down stuff, and we'll start introducing some red zone stuff where we will, not the whole practice obviously, but a portion of the practice be able to start tackling to see if guys can actually tackle, and what we do offensively as far as moving the ball.
If you do an Oklahoma drill, do you think when Oklahoma practices short passes and stuff, they call it the West Virginia drill?
Maybe. We had that discussion. Some of our coaches go, "Can we please change the name of this drill? What makes them so damn special?" Right? But it's just the drill. It's known across the country as the Oklahoma drill. I'm sure some people have changed the name of it, but we're not smart enough to come up with another name.
Are you at the point where you can start evaluating people now, or at least begin to start evaluating people now that the pads are on, you're going full speed, you're starting to do situations, things like that? Is this the beginning stages of it?
We've been evaluating since day one. I tell these guys that, pretty much everything's filmed, everything's evaluated. I can't tell you if we've made decisions. Even if we have, I wouldn't tell you. But we're evaluating these guys with everything that they do, whether it's non-padded, whether it's padded, whether it's guys being able in the right positions, if they're catching the ball, if they're turning and getting upfield, if their ball security is good, if defensively, if we're stripping it, communicating, all the rest of it. I mean, we're evaluating constantly, not to the point where we're making decisions yet. The situational thing will separate players, especially quarterbacks. When we get in situations and they're able to handle the situations and get us in good situations and execute it and be that, from a quarterback point of view, it will help us separate who's 1 and who's 2 and who's 3. And then defensively, when you go live, can you get them on the ground or can you not get them on the ground? From the tackling point of view. Obviously is important.
Dana, I understand you can't tell, or you're not going to tell us who's 1, 2, or 3 quarterback, but do you have to make a decision, start to give somebody first team reps, the week before the first game?
Oh yeah, not now, but we have 9 more afternoon practices before we break camp. Don't anticipate doing anything before that. We have started narrowing it down to where instead of 33% of the reps in skeleton team, we're going 50% of the reps in skeleton team. So, today we'll pick 2 quarterbacks and they get 50% each, and then tomorrow it'll be you know, two different. So they're still going to get equal reps over the course of 9 practices, but they will start getting 50%, and 50% of those 50% will be first team and second team. So it'll be 100% equal for the next 9 practices, and then we'll make a decision. You know, I don't know if I tell you or not. We probably want everybody to be in the dark like everybody else does, but we won't go into the first game without a clue who's going to obviously be the guy.
Is it possible that we, meaning media and fans, wouldn't know who the quarterback is until the first play of the season?
I would be surprised if you don't know. I mean, social media, you know, and we get our guys to try to keep as much that happens inside the building, you know, to the people that need to know. But with social media and emotions and all that stuff, I'd be surprised if you don't know.
But you would rather that we did.
I don't know yet. It depends on how clear-cut it is. If it's real close, then, you know, we're gonna keep it as close to the vest as we possibly can. If it's clear-cut, then we'll probably let everybody know.
What if it is that close?
Makes my job harder. So.
Does it force you to make that decision, or?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's no different here than it is anywhere else across the country. I mean, you get quality guys, you get 2 quality guys, 3 quality guys, and in a position battle, I mean, obviously at some point you got to make a decision, you know. So the closer it is, the harder it is. Those decisions are not easy. I mean, you know, when you talk about making a decision on who's going to play and who's not going to play, it affects kids' lives, you know. So. You know, these are guys that are working hard, and somebody's going to be the guy and somebody's not. So it's hard to deal with if you're that guy that's not going to be the guy.
But 2 quarterbacks is not an option.
I've never done it. You know, never done it. Don't plan on doing it. That doesn't mean we can't have 2 that are ready to play, because guys get hurt and go down all the time. I mean, that's obviously a reality in college football. So, and that's one thing that the second team guys always got to keep in mind. You know, they're a play away from getting in there and playing a lot of ball.
Not your guys, right?
Not our guys, but
I mean,
for most guys across the country, that's the way things are. For reality for us is that's didn't happen very often.
Are these guys similar enough that you wouldn't change much, no matter which one was won? If one week you had to make a different deal.
Correct.
It's not like what Oklahoma had last year or whatever.
Right. Yeah. They're similar enough, and that's always been my philosophy on it. If you look back, our offense didn't change very much from Case Keenum to Brandon Weeden, and they're 2 different guys.
For guys like on the offensive line, does it matter for them to get a feel of who the quarterback is?
Yeah. I think it matters. I think it matters. You know, when you're in the huddle, or when you're under center, when you're the guy communicating, you know, the trust factor of who's back there, the leadership qualities, you know, the belief in that this guy is going to get it done. I mean, yeah, that makes a big difference.
When Clint says everything was coverage-based at FSU and is progression-based here, I think we have a general idea of that, but can you kind of flesh that out, what those 2 differences are?
Well, there's a lot of differences, you know, from, you know, what he's looking at is important, whether it's, you know, pre-snap coverage, whether it's post-snap coverage, whether it's, you know, receivers adjusting routes due to coverage. I mean, it takes some film and a lot of clinic time to be able to get into the details of that, but there's some differences with that. There's some differences in the drops. There's some differences in, you know, what you're looking at in the run game. I mean, you know, to the fan when you're just watching it, I mean, a lot of the offensive football looks the same, but what the actual details of it are, there's going to be differences everywhere. You know, so what we're asking him to do is different. He's got game experience. He's got quarterback experience, but what we're asking him to do in our offense is different. So he's got to adjust to that. He's a smart kid. He's a bright kid. He's very intuitive. He's got a good feel for the game, which is going to put him in position to be able to beat out guys that have been taking snaps in our offense for the last 2 to 3 years. So that's a credit to him that he's in the race. A lot of quarterback talk today, huh? It's the least thing that I like to talk about right now.
Keith says he, I don't know, he feels like he has a way to stop some of these Big 12 offenses. It's kind of unique, maybe. I don't know how much you've gone against that in practice yet, but you've gone against him in the past.
Yeah.
What's
That's
different?
why he's been hired.
Exactly. But
Plus, he's a good guy.
what is he? I guess without giving away the recipe, but are there certain things that he does that just makes it difficult, that takes away things that are kind of unique to his plan?
Yeah, yeah. And again, this would take a lot. You know, it'd take a lot of detail to be able to figure it out. But his you know, the 3-4 is perimeter oriented. Okay, so you know, back with you know, the nuts and bolts of what we've always done offensively has been perimeter oriented. You know, not just being able to throw the ball downfield or run between the tackles when there's not enough people in the box, but being able to get the ball in the perimeter to where the defense has to cover the whole field. You have to go sideline to sideline and then have to go backwards to be able to, you know, be able to go downfield if you have to as well. It's about offensively us trying to make them defend the whole field, and I think he's got an excellent plan for being able to do that. He gets the tempo stuff. I mean, I went against him 4 years, and you know, and then he's been here with us for 2 years. So it's about 6 years straight that he's been preparing for an offense that's very similar to ours, or for several of those years specifically for ours. Well, if you look at what everybody's doing in the Big 12, it's you know, it's very spread oriented. It's very tempo oriented. There's obviously a lot of similarities in what we do and what everybody else in the Big 12 does. So he's very familiar with it.
But does he do something that disarms how fast teams like to play? Because he even says that it's a matter of what he does that'll discourage or just flat take you out of going fast.
Well, I mean, I hope so, you know, because everybody tempos. You know, what specifically? I mean, how do you stop tempo? Well, you get lined up is kind of the key number one. I mean, if you can get lined up, then and get calls and get it communicated in a very short time, it gives you a chance to be successful. So, yeah, I think he's got a pretty good plan for it.
You have to play everybody in the conference, obviously, you know, one time. But with a new quarterback, with a young team, you know, an inexperienced team, pretty much, is it really a good thing or a bad thing, or does it matter coming out of the box, Oklahoma State, the first 2 games? Does that, I mean, does that put your season on the line right away in the first month of the season? Or?
I don't think so. You got to play them sooner or later, you know. So when you play them, I don't know if that matters. I mean, there's going to be some teams that are, especially experienced teams, which I don't know how you technically categorize experienced teams or non-experienced teams, but I guess the more experienced teams are going to be a little bit better early. You know, where the inexperienced teams, if they have the pieces in place, then they should gradually get better and be a little bit better at the end of the year. But I would assume pretty much everybody's going to be a little better at the end of the year than they are at the beginning of the year. So I don't know yet. I've never played a conference game that early, so my tune might change on it after I do it. But it's not like it's the first time it's ever happened. You know, we got to play them game 2. They got to play us game 2. So I see it being pretty comparable.
More about that schedule, if you don't mind. You don't have an open week until after 6 and 11, I think. That's
right.
Kind of unusual.
Yeah, I wish it was a little bit more evenly spread out, but there's nothing I can do about it. The one thing on the end of the year thing, which I've been public about this is the first year that we get that first week of recruiting off. So our last game's on the 1st, where other teams play a game on the 7th. There's 8 Big 12 teams that are playing on the 7th, and there's 2 that's not playing on the 7th. We're one of the 2 that's not on the 7th, so we get an extra week of recruiting, which doesn't seem fair to me. But we've always been the team, and it happened when we're in the Big East as well. And then when the Big 12 went to where they weren't playing the championship game, and they went to a round-robin scheduling last year, then, you know, so they have games on the 7th as well. So this is the first year we get that first week of recruiting where we don't have to prepare for a game.
Dana, status update for Howard, Henry, McDonald, the 3 guys who weren't here.
Haven't heard. Nana injury report. Nana's gonna have shoulder surgery. He's gonna redshirt and have shoulder surgery. So he went down. Dreamus hadn't practiced in about 3 days. He's got a thigh bruise. Hopefully it should be fine today. I mean, that's obviously day to day. We thought Sean Austin was day to day too, and he ended up missing a whole 2 months. Dante Campbell had shoulder surgery, missed spring. That thing popped out again yesterday, so that's unfortunate for him. I don't have an update on him. I don't know if it's another surgical procedure or what, but he didn't practice yesterday, which was unfortunate for him. Other than that, we're pretty healthy.
Get hurt here, or
What's that?
Did Nana get hurt here?
Yeah. It was loose. You know, he went through all of spring with it being loose. You know, it was loose when he got here, and then played last year, and was loose in the spring. Played through it and practiced 2 or 3. I don't know. It popped out, and we were contemplating surgery with him anyway. We know he has a redshirt year. It's going to end up being good for him. You know, so he's going to go ahead and get it fixed right now. And and then redshirt, and we'll be back for spring. You know, one thing we want, should we cut it now so we can be back for spring, or should we let him try to play through it? We let him try to play through it for about 2 days, and then it got loose and popped out. So he'll redshirt and then be back for spring practice and have 3 years. So yeah, he'll be fine.